Hey everybody, so today we're gonna go over how to do the leg extension, or I should say how I do the leg extension. Take what serves you, leave what doesn't. But the leg extension machine is probably one of my favorite machines for growing big, juicy, delicious quads. This video is going to be broken up into 3 parts: how to adjust the machine, how to execute the exercise itself, and then I'm gonna give some tips and tricks if you're somebody who feels knee pain when you're doing leg extensions. So when you're adjusting a leg extension machine, just know that every leg extension machine is gonna be different. There are so many different makes and models, but in general, most leg extension machines are composed of 3 adjustments. First, you have the shin adjustment. So you can decide how far up your shin or how low on your shin that adjustment goes. Then you have the knee flexion adjustment. So you can adjust how far back you have to swing your legs when you're doing the leg extension. And then lastly, you have the back adjustment. So how upright versus how reclined you are sitting on the machine. I like to set up my leg extension the exact same way every time so that I know without a shadow of a doubt that every single week when I come back, I'm doing more, not because I changed the adjustment on the machine, but because I actually got stronger, okay? So I like to adjust the little shin part to go right on the corner of where my shin meets my foot. So basically my ankle. Bitch, what the fuck? I like to put the shin right on my ankle. Sometimes if I put it too high, it like hurts my shin. Sometimes if I put it too low, it feels like it's rolling off of my leg. So that's kind of where I like to put it. I'm about 5'6", and like a medium adjustment on the shin is usually what works best for me. But you just kind of have to play around with it and see where it's at for you. And then sometimes I'll write it down in my notes like, oh, I put it on the 3rd hole. So I know exactly how I set it up every time. Then you have the knee bend part, okay? I like to put it so it's at maximum knee bend. And I also like to adjust the back part so that I'm reclining all the way down. And the reason why I like setting it up that way is because everyone's talking right now about how you make more gains in the stretch. There's been a couple studies that have been coming out that have been showing that you make more gains in the stretch position. So I've been running with that and trying to take all of my exercises through that stretch position. So I like to make sure my foot goes all the way back. Sometimes I'll have to adjust it, like move my feet out of the way to adjust it, to be able to push it all the way back. And then I have to squeeze my feet into the machine. And then when I'm reclined all the way back, I get an even deeper stretch on my quad as well. But just so you know, like not a lot of people do the reclined all the way back. So if you're a little bit more shy, maybe don't do that. Sometimes people look at me weird, or sometimes people will come up to me and try to correct me, and I have to explain that I'm doing it on purpose. So now that the machine is set up for your unique proportions and preferences, let's go to execution. First thing I'll say is I like to get my chubby, grubby little hands and I like to pull myself into the seat. I ground myself into the seat like I'm trying to pull the chair into my butt and push my chair. Pull the chair into my butt and push my butt into the chair. So opposing forces are happening here. And I always feel stronger when I do it like this. So it's a full body exercise. My whole body is engaged, my core is engaged, my upper body, my arms, everything is engaged, and that allows me to feel stronger through my quad, and it allows me to really isolate my quad, okay? Full body engagement. Then the next thing I'll say is, for me personally, and I think for most of my clients, leg extensions have lent themselves better for a medium rep range or a higher rep range. So like I like to sit around the 8 to 15 rep range. When I go too low, I don't know, I don't connect as well with my quads. I feel it kind of hurting my knees. I don't know. I like feeling a juicy pump and a juicy connection with my quad when I do leg extensions. Next thing I'll say is go slow and controlled. Everybody tries to grease lightning, like Lightning McQueen, speed through their sets, but you want to control the weight. Don't let the weight control you. So I like going down nice and slow. I'll even micro pause in the stretch a little bit, and then I'll explode up and then go back down slow and with control. When you do it this way, typically you have to go lighter weight, okay? But I feel like I'm able to progress better. I don't know, I'm able to feel the weight better. I think I look more professional, honestly, when you can tell that I'm controlling the weight, taking my time with each rep, and treating every rep with respect. And to piggyback off of that, I will make my last rep look like my first rep. So as you start getting tired and it starts getting hard and it starts burning, a lot of us will start trying to speed through and speed up our reps to try and finish and get through to the end. Stay composed. This is what my coach says to me. He tells me, Marina, stay composed. Don't speed up the negative. When you're letting your leg come back down, it's called the negative, or you can call it the eccentric, because the concentric is going to be the part that involuntarily slows down when you're approaching failure. But we can often control the eccentric. Don't try to speed through the negative, okay? Stay composed. Keep every rep the same. And try not to let the weight click. Try not to let the weight ricochet and bounce out of the bottom. I feel like that removes tension off of my quads. So when you do a leg extension, there's a point where you can feel there's no resistance on the machine. In the bottom half of the machine, you can feel there's no resistance. And then it clicks when the weight finally gets picked up. That's when you can feel that your quads are now officially under tension. I will only move through the part of the machine that's actually under tension. So I will avoid letting the weight click back down because I don't want to lose tension on my quads, because the whole point of building muscle is to keep the muscle under tension until you properly fatigue the muscle. Moving on, find the stretch, okay? Have you heard of the mind-muscle connection? One of the most important parts about doing an exercise is knowing where you should be feeling it. Because what's the point of doing an exercise if you're using a completely different muscle to complete the exercise? So when I found that when I do leg extensions, I can find the groove and I can find the stretch when I'm doing it. And I can almost like put my hips in a position and put my knees in a position where I feel the maximum stretch in my quad. And be mindful, this requires a lot of focus and intention to find your groove and find where you feel that stretch. So pay attention. If you're doing a set and you're looking around the gym and you're just kind of flailing and you're talking to your friend, are you actually giving it your all? Are you actually putting all of your focus into it? Because a set taken close to failure, unfocused, looks and feels and can produce something very different than a set that you complete to failure, but you are completely focused when you do it. Yeah, I genuinely visualize my quads stretching and contracting. Because if you didn't know the function of the quads, it's to help in the extension and in the flexion of your legs. So when our legs are extended, the quad is shortened. When our leg is flexed, when we bend our leg, the quad is stretched. So visualizing is everything, right? Everyone's talking about it, how you can visualize yourself. Like Olympic gold medalists, they visualize themselves winning. Visualize your quad stretching and contracting. Visualize yourself pulling this fucking weight. That's kind of how I execute it. Probably the last thing I'll say in regards to execution, and y'all have heard me say this 1,000,001 times, how hard you train is going to be the number one most important thing to actually seeing quad growth. So I always say this, half rep Harry over there, that's just letting the weight control him and he's just flailing the weight. Sometimes he'll see more progress than someone who is diligent about having really good form and controlling the weight just because he knows how to push himself harder. So it doesn't matter that you execute the leg extension perfectly if you're not actually pushing yourself hard enough. You know that you're training close enough to failure when you are absolutely giving it your all, but your reps involuntarily slow down. You're fighting to complete those last 2 to 3 reps. It should feel impossible. It should feel like it's not going to get up, but you have to fight for it anyways, as hard as you can until you physically cannot lift the weight anymore. That's how you optimally damage the muscle so it can grow back stronger. And that's also where keeping good training notes comes in. Every single week that I think I do leg extensions twice a week. I'm writing down the number of reps that I did, the number of sets that I did, and the weight that I used every single week. And I'm looking for, over the course of months, for me to be able to lift more weights. I have to be able to lift more weights over time. That is the only like tangible proof we have, other than like our body changing or our scale, our weight on the scale going up. Seeing ourselves get stronger on the numbers on paper is one of the only ways to confirm that we're actually building muscle. If you're getting stronger, you're most likely probably gaining muscle as well. One more thing, God, I love to talk. Leg extensions is one of those exercises where you don't realize how much you can do until you fuck around and find out. What a lot of people will do is they'll pick a weight that's too low and they'll do 15 reps and it burns so much, like you can't help yourself but stop. Videotape yourself in the gym. If you watch that video back and you stopped and you can see that your reps didn't slow down, that's proof to you that you didn't stop because you couldn't do another one. You stopped because it burnt too much. Like it burned so much. So what you can do is try going up in weight until you find the weight that you can complete like 8 to 15 reps. And you didn't stop because it burned. You stopped because you physically could not complete another rep. Last section of this video, considerations for people with knee pain. You know how I said that I like putting the machine so I have the most knee bend? If you have knee pain, you can try limiting your range of motion, so doing less knee bend. That can help with your knee pain. You can also try turning your toes in. See if that helps with your knee pain. You can also try doing one leg at a time. That can help with knee pain. I like to do single leg extensions at least once a week because I like how even the pump feels on each leg when I do one at a time versus when I'm doing both legs at the same time. Sometimes I have to like focus really hard so that I feel it equally pulling on my left leg as it pulls on my right leg. Another thing you can do for knee pain is lower the weights and work your way up. So if you're feeling knee pain, start with low weight, do like 3 sets of 15, slowly increase the weight over time, and slowly work your way up to training close to true failure. It's okay to have to back off if you're feeling knee pain. I know when I first started doing leg extensions, I felt knee pain, and I had to start low and slow before I could work up to a weight that would actually like maximally stimulate muscle growth. And then I'll also say, like I said earlier, something else that helped with my knee pain is visualizing my quad stretching and contracting. And I don't know how to explain this other than I focused on not lifting with my knee. I focused on moving the weight with my quad. That's a hard thing to explain, but just will your mind to use your quad to lift the weight and not your knee. It'll make sense when you do it. Okay, guys, those are my top tips for leg extensions that make the leg extension feel super juicy and delicious for me. Please try out some of these tips and then come back here and comment and let me know if they worked for you, or comment down below any tips that I didn't include that work really well for you and you feel like the people should know. Okay? Thanks guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.